Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. I'm very happy to welcome Sophia Torini here, as she is a certified clinical EFT practitioner, and you deal with not only physical, but emotional and mental health as well. Well, tell us a little bit more about you.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show.
Mhm.
And clinical EFT refers to evidence-based EFT, so it's been validated. So I usually deal with people who have usually emotional, physical, and sometimes mental challenges, and they want to improve their life, whether it's an illness that they're stuck with, or whether they have a phobia, or as I said, it could be a health condition. I'm the guide, so I don't have any magical powers. I just guide the person to access their innate power within themselves to either activate the body to self-heal or to let go of limiting beliefs and emotions that they haven't been able to release, which is keeping them stuck and replaying some past experiences. When the person is traumatized, what they do is they take the past experience they had and they project it to their future. So what they're doing is they're taking the past and they're plastering in the future and keep on reliving that same cycle, and they can't get out because they're living on the hamster wheel. And I know what that feels like because I've experienced it for a long time.
And you've had some health challenges yourself, right?
That is correct. And I was stuck for a very long time.
Oh my goodness. Do you mind talking a little more about it?
Yeah, so I ended up being at a bad point in my life, could not process my emotions, and I made a wrong choice, even though I stood up because I have let me backtrack. My background is in medicine. I'm not a doctor. I have a master's in epidemiology and I was a network engineer. So I worked in the hospital setting. And I could not process a lot of emotions. And I was told I needed emergency surgery, even though I kind of stood up and said, "You're wrong." Uh, when they scared me, I went along with it. And as an end result, I was expected to die. I ended up 23 days in the hospital. I did get out. I did live, even though it wasn't expected. But for 14 years, I was now plagued with ailments that I didn't have. And medicine did not help. And so the choice was, am I going to slowly die now miserably since I didn't die 14 years ago by suffering? And I started looking. And I did get the best treatment. So I was at the Mayo, which I'm very grateful, the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. But unfortunately, even that, they would be a patch and then I'd have a flare up. And it was just constant till some point. I think my emotional state was so low that I could not get out of it anymore. And I think it was the fear of dying slowly well, not I think, it was the fear of dying slowly that motivated me to research some other stuff. And I ended up finding Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, which was very instrumental for me. But there was a missing piece for me. I did not know how to master my emotions as he teaches. And that was so challenging for me. So then the two of them together is what ultimately enabled me to heal, and which is why I teach both together. So, and I help people do the same thing.
Now, was that all your emotions in general, or were there certain ones that you had a more problem with?
I had a lot of fear and I had a lot of anger, and I also had acquired a very traumatic experience from being in the hospital, told you're going to die the next morning, you're going to die the next morning, that I had a hard time believing I could heal when they told me this is a non-healable condition. So those were very hard to dispel, and my emotions were not externalized to the outer world. So I had a lot of anger. You could see me frustrated, but I didn't have bursts of anger towards the world. I just did not know how to feel. And what is an emotion? It's energy in motion. And if the emotion is not felt, it causes a disrupt. First of all, it's stored inside of each cell, and then it causes disruption in the body. And I might as well address this part. So, what is EFT? EFT is part of a combination of cognitive therapy and uses the acupuncture points, the meridians, that Chinese medicine, and we tap on that so the energy in the body can flow, because the energy gets stuck. And let's say liver usually holds anger, kidneys hold fear. That's why sometimes when you, and also you could have the pit of your stomach. You might have fear, and then there's this knot in your pit of your stomach. So when the energy doesn't flow inside the body, in between the cells, they don't communicate very well, and it causes now disruption on the replication of the cells. And that's what disease is. It's a lowering of frequency, because we weren't able to process the emotions, and we were taught when we were growing up not to feel or not speak up or whatever. And now we see in the world two extremes, either people blowing up or people who never speak up. And often enough, it's sometimes you get the really good, polite people getting so sick because they didn't know how to move that energy out.
Well, being a Libra, I have those bouts of I'm either quiet or I burst and I let you know how I really feel. But when we're talking about EFT, is there any conflict or contradiction with medicine that, I mean, like what you learn in medical school, or is this correlate
It can be
together?
used complementary. It can be used complementary, and then when you let your limiting beliefs and your fears go, you can decide what to do. So no, it doesn't contradict. I mean, medicine is coming around now, saying that stress causes disease, and there have been several EFT studies that show that six genes of stress get downregulated, and one of them is cortisol. What is cortisol? Cortisol is a hormone that gets released and activates your sympathetic nervous system. So what happens when your sympathetic nervous system, all your blood flow goes to the extremities, your pupils dilate, your salivary juices stop, and you're ready to fight, flight, or hide. So there's now the body is on high alert. There's nowhere you can heal. And most people have a lot of digestive issues. That's because they're always highly so tense. The body is not meant to be in a high stress mode. And when we go to medicine to treat a lot of stuff, what do they give us? They give us steroids and cortisol. Well, that activates your sympathetic nervous system. We want to be, if we want to heal or allow the body to heal, we need to be more relaxed, and our brain waves are very important. When you're looping and predicting the worst case scenario, your body is in stress mode. It doesn't see possibility for, you know what, I could have a better future. You know, maybe there's another solution for me out there. Maybe I could just ease it out. Or that doesn't happen because we're in constant high beta brain waves. Solution comes when our brainwave change to alpha or theta. And that's why even medicine now is promoting mindfulness and meditation and stress reduction techniques. So EFT is perfect, and it's super fast. It's even faster than therapy.
What gets me is like a family doctor, they're quick to prescribe you medicine, but I've had to go to pain care physicians for the last 4 or 5 years of my life, and they they actually introduced me to different things like what you're talking about. Now they do prescribe you medications because there's times that you cannot deal with pain, but they do offer these alternatives like acupuncture and I've even talked to them about EFT and the tapping and all that kind of stuff. Why does your primary care physician want to throw medicine at you and not talk to you about these things? Is there something to do with the
Well, it's
pharmaceutical companies?
a combination of both. First of all, having worked in a medical practice for over 30 years, if you go to the doctor and they give you nothing and they tell you it's your thoughts and your emotions, and they told me that years ago, I'd say there's something wrong with you. So there's this unconscious expectation that we want something to be given to us to fix us. Second part is you hit it right. If the doctor does not bring certain number of patient satisfaction, bringing the patient back and prescribing something, because the pharmaceuticals are everywhere. Who controls the FDA? The pharmaceutical does, right? Who lobbies? So now the doctor is at a tight bind. He or she has to prescribe. Now, in your case, your physician was very open-minded and gave you a choice. So a lot of physicians don't. And when you do both, you do need the prescription drug when you're in pain, because I was on meds in the beginning and I weaned off. You can't just say, okay, I'm just going to tap and meditate and tomorrow I'm fine. Okay. Or if your leg breaks, I'm going to tap and not go to the hospital. No. If your leg is broken, you're going to get something for your pain. You're going to put it in a cast. Have not reached the level of consciousness where I can heal my leg in an instant. So it's a fine line. And medicine is trained to deal with the symptoms. And I'm going to take an analogy that I heard from someone, which I thought was brilliant. He said, we're dealing with the flood in the basement. And we keep on cleaning the basement, yet the flood is coming from the third floor. So you keep on cleaning the basement, but the water is going to keep on coming because the pipe is broken on the third floor. So from a spiritual perspective, we have several bodies, but let's address the three here for now: the mental, the physical, and the emotional. You also have a light body. So the light body is the one that has the disease and it gets projected to the physical body. So we need to find what patterns, so what emotions, thoughts, traumatic memories has the person's experience that are in the light body that is being projected here. And I had certain traumatic memories, and a lot of clients have, and some have horrific experiences, and I feel really bad, but they know how to turn it around, and they even motivate me to continue my work. I mean, I've seen some horrific situations. So that's pretty much in a nutshell why medicine is that way. And the doctor paid so much money for so many years to go to school. He can't lose his license or be thrown out of the hospital because he or she did not meet their quota.
Well, I think it's very important for the patient to be upfront with their doctor. And when I had to start going to pain care, well, in the beginning, they were throwing me, opioids and that kind of thing. And I started to notice that I was getting back into that habit of, I just need the opioid. And so I changed my doctor, and I was up front and said, look, I'm an addict. If you give me opioids and this kind of stuff, I'm going to abuse it. I've quit drinking several years ago. I quit drugs several years ago. I don't want to get back into doing that again. So they gave me, it's kind of like a methadone, I guess you'd say. And it's a pill. And It's you've probably heard of it, buprenorphine.
Mhm. I worked for a methadone clinic. Actually, that was my first job.
And I will say it's actually helped me more than any of those opioids did. But I've also noticed it's helped me to stay clean. So in that instance, I see a definite plus for
Mhm.
having a medication because I am an addict. I ain't gonna lie. Um, but I deal with pain from day to day. I've tried this and that and all these other things, but they don't seem to work for me. Is it my way of thinking? Have I still not turned it around? What's the deal?
So let's be open-minded. An addict does not want to be an addict. So I know you use that label. Person becomes alcoholic, or they gamble, or some sort of an addiction, or an eating disorder, whatever it may be, because you're trying to avoid a more painful emotion or a deal with an experience that they don't feel they can handle. Because even the alcoholic and the drug addict, after they're high, there's a moment where they regret it, or the eating disorder, it doesn't matter what it is, or the gambling person. So again, it goes back to the emotions that are stored in the body. When the emotion is stored, well, let me backtrack. So I'm going to give you some examples because I don't know what your audience knows, but I want to just make it very simple. Person dies. What the first thing we do? We take two paddles, we put it on his heart, his or her heart, to revive him. Why? Because the body is electrical, and then there's a battery. And the first thing we also do is we give them a saline solution. So every time we have an electrical current, and you do have your plus is here and your negative is on your tailbone, you create an electromagnetic field. All wires around them have an electromagnetic field. So when the emotion is stored in the body and it's not released, it's constantly emitting. And just like a magnet, it's attracting similar experiences. So going to you, there must have been some experiences in your life that haven't been processed, that they're so painful, or at the time when you dealt with them were so painful and weren't able to release them, that got stuck in the body. And so your conscious mind knows, I need to let it go. But your subconscious has the energy stored in the body, and the body is the subconscious mind. I think it was Candace Pert who wrote the book, and she got the Nobel Prize for it. So when the emotion gets released from the body, you're going to start feeling at ease. But now let's discuss regular emotion. Just like you shooting up heroin, I'm not saying you, but in general, shooting up heroin in your body, you get addicted to it. So every time we get angry, neurotransmitters release neuropeptides and they activate the hormones and the adrenals. The body revs up and produces adrenaline. Over a period of time, we get addicted to our own emotions. I'm sure you've met people that love being constantly angry on a high, because they got addicted to their own emotions. So the difference is, on the outside, you shoot the heroin in your vein. Here, you're doing internally with your own thoughts. Same difference. So it's really about mastering our emotions and being more at ease and being more happier. When you fell in love, or at some point a happy time in your life, everything looked wonderful and everything flowed. So it's these low frequency emotions that are causing these addictions and these thought patterns. So for you, you can have various modalities, and I'm not picking on you, I'm just giving a suggestion. Breath work would be an excellent modality. You could do EFT. And there is also the somatic experience by Peter Levine. It's an excellent, where you scan your body and you follow the energy without making any comments to move. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, but But EFT out of all the three is the fastest one.
Now, I will say the one part of my life where my anxiety, depression, and all that, they gave me every pill under the sun for this.
Mhm.
They didn't work. I did get into meditation, and I have to say this every time, but I'm not a doctor. You talk to your doctor about what's best for you. But when I got into meditation, I slowly started to wean myself off of these drugs until finally I didn't have to take them anymore. I was the kind of person that if I was in a crowd, if I couldn't figure out how to get out of the room, I was going to freak out. Or sometimes fireworks would freak me out. And now, once I go into that meditative state, it's like I know I'm getting into a stressful situation, going to Costco or whatever, I'm fine. And I don't have to take pill one. Now, the pain is the only thing I can say that I haven't been able to find anything outside of the drugs, what have you, to help me.
First of all, you showed how you mastered changing your brain waves. That's how I started. So when you're in beta brainwaves, you're going to be hypervigilant, anxious. Your breathing is going to be shallow, and you could end up with a panic attack. So congratulations, you mastered to control your body, because meditation does not happen overnight.
No.
You learn how to calm down your body, which means now you have an excellent skill set, and you changed your brain waves. It's your brainwave change that you're able to go to Costco when there's a crowd, because remember, at alpha and theta brainwaves, you don't see the worst case scenario, which is our default with high beta brainwaves. So congratulations to there.
Okay.
The physical pain is stuck emotions in the body. And from the little I pick up, you probably did not have the easiest upbringing growing up.
To say the least.
Okay, so
I've been open. I was molested as a child. So.
Okay. So that will put your body on high alert, and all memories, a copy stored in the brain and a copy stored in the cells of the body. So the first law of thermodynamics says energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted. And so when you feel it, it actually moves. That's what's going to cause to reduce the pain. And what is physical pain? All the emotional pain you went through that you weren't able to process. That's pretty much what it is. So all the abuse that you received, besides the molestation, I'm sure there was verbal and other abuse and not being heard and whatever took place. As a child, you weren't able, or a teenager, I don't know what age it was, you weren't able to be heard and be supported. And so as a result, the body is speaking back to you. That's what the body is doing. And the body communicates with its pains, its aches, and different other stuff. And to be quite honest, there's nothing I see that you have wrong. And I don't know you, but I do pick up energy. If you set your mind and you make a decision, the past, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to process it and go. I pretty much guarantee you your physical pain will be gone. If you mastered meditation, I can almost guarantee you can get rid of this pain.
Well, I have a spinal disease. My bones actually are deteriorating. I've already had several surgeries, which is why you see me fidget a lot. I can't sit still for long either. I will say this. I started to really get into more exercise and that kind of thing. I'm limited to what I can do, but I try, and I have built up my endurance. It's like before, I couldn't even walk 10 minutes without being in so much pain. I couldn't go no further. And now I'm going like 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, which never thought that would be possible. But I still deal with the pain of that, the nerve damage, what have you. I'm trying, I'm
So
trying.
I'm going to give you the positive news. So you definitely have a willpower. That's number one. There was no one out there that helped you walk from 10 minutes or do activity to 30. So that is you. Okay, so you did it yourself. The good news is neuroscience, because that's what I teach, teaches us now that your neurons and your cells, your neurons are neuroplastic, which means you can regenerate them. So while you did use the word, and this is just a suggestion, that your nerves are deteriorating, I'm here to tell you, you can reverse that, which is why there's so many now modalities, and you're seeing people heal for conditions that were unhealable because we have more information. And a few people you might want to look up. The first father of this, who is the father of epigenetic, is Bruce Lipton's, who there's Greg Radin, who talks about it. And of course, the biggest one is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He just released his research on how you can extend your telomeres grow and how your nerve cells regenerate using meditation. It's a kind of a different meditation, but when you connect to the field and you've already know how to slow down your brain waves and you set an intention, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to do so. But the key, what's in between your end result and where you want to go is those emotional memories need to leave the body because they're keeping the body stuck into the past.
Mm. And you work with people one-on-one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a website?
Yeah. I have a website called tapintourbestself.com. I give a 20-minute complimentary session. It usually takes longer. Explain to them how it works. And I also teach the course, Change Your Mind, Create New Results, that Dr. Joe Dispenza created. So I'm certified to teach it. And I think knowledge and with new information and mastering, when I mean mastering, not, it's just letting go of the emotions, not let us take over. Your body wants to heal. Your body really wants to heal. We're not meant here to suffer, but we were taught that was the only way out.
Gotcha. Oh, and what is your social media?
The Instagram is Tap Into Your Best Self. And my Facebook is tapintourbestself.eft.
I am going to put all those links in the description, but Sophia, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been enlightening.
I thank you, and thank you for offering me the opportunity. And when I want to leave a message for you, first of all, I want you to see the willpower you have to turn your life around. People who are traumatized, because I think it's important for you to hear, usually turn out to hurt and harm other people, but you're doing the contrary. You're actually helping people. Okay, so that's a sign of your consciousness, and I don't think you validated yourself enough for that. And number two, that includes you, myself, and everybody else. Everything in the body is healable. We had a woman who had her thyroid removed and her thyroid regrew. Literally, we have the evidence. Okay, so it's on not my website, Dr. Dispenza's website. There is a documentary he did, Source is Within. And I think these shows are to empower people who are not stuck in the old model. And thank you for allowing me to give you my experience.
I appreciate that very, very much. And I also appreciate all y'all out there. If you are new to the program, well, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button for my regulars. You guys are awesome because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network